So our first little activity is called Why Do People Eat? There should be a QR code that comes up on the next slide. So if everyone can join, you can do it on your computer if you prefer by logging into menti.com and using the code at the top of the screen. Or you can scan the QR code if you've got your phone nearby. I can see that one person has logged in, so that's great. Essentially, the activity is simply just the question, why do people eat? It's not a trick question. Just give your kind of instinctive answers to why people eat, and then we will go through it and talk about it a little bit more. And don't be shy. Okay, great. To stay healthy, we've got one answer. Cool. Hopefully some more will pop up, but we'll also give you a couple of minutes as well, so everyone has time to log in and think, and you can also share multiple answers. You should be able to. So yeah. Normally when people say the same word, it gets a bit bigger, but there's a little spelling error in one of the hungies. So we just know that that's there twice. I love yummy. That one always comes up.
Yeah. Connection, that's a good one.
That's a great one. Sad, definitely, and boredom. Definitely there's many emotions that we could be putting as answers to these questions. Nervous and stressed, kind of similar. Great. Any other like reasons that people eat, or even reasons why people don't eat certain things or at certain times, things like that. Celebration is a good one, celebrating things.
Social.
Yeah, socials there a couple of times. That's a good one. Just give like 1 more minute for your final answers and then we will go through. Amy said, whoops, I think she's outed herself as the little spelling error there. Because I have to, that is a very valid one. Okay, so you can kind of keep going as I'm talking, but essentially looking at these kind of answers, we've got some sort of themes. So we've got like various emotions or like emotional reasons. We've got some kind of social things, connecting with others, cultural things. Essentially, what we like to do with this activity is slightly change the question. So keeping the answers the same. You don't necessarily need to add more answers unless something comes to mind. If we were to change the question to why do people have sex and look at these answers, we're just going to go through some of them and see if they're relevant or the same. So the top one that I can see is to connect with others, and the social side of things. To be social is definitely a reason why people do have sex. It's a form of connection with other humans. To survive is true as well. So obviously we need food to survive. I guess to reproduce in survival in that sort of sense, definitely relevant to having sex as well. Not everyone does have sex or needs that kind of, I guess, connection or release, I guess, to be happy and survive in life. But yeah, I guess we're talking more around like the reproduction side of things. It definitely is relevant. And be nutritious, I think that's meant to say. Nourished was another one, to stay healthy. So yeah, sex is a part of our health. So that's why we say sexual health. And there are certain, good chemicals and things that can be released that can have positive impacts on your health as well. Whether that's like alone or with a partner, whether there's orgasm or not, definitely can have a lot of health benefits. No need to apologize. Thank you, Michelle. Hungry. So this one always comes up. I think that it is relevant if we kind of rephrase it as like desire, like hunger is desire, or like horniness, I suppose. Definitely that is a reason why people have sex. And then hunger is a reason why people eat as well. What else have we got? Yummy. So pleasure. It feels good. It tastes good. Things like that. That reason does apply to eating and having sex as well. What else? What else? Cultural connection is a good one. So there might be a lot of cultural reasons why people have sex at certain times or have sex with certain people, at, you know, in certain relationship points and things like that. That could definitely impact why someone does or doesn't have sex. Same with celebration. There might be like an anniversary or something like that, a wedding night, things like that. Because I have to. So that one does come up a lot as well. And I think it's really important to mention that part of sexual health is around consent. And there are a lot of expectations around having sex that people may have to work through, or there might be pressure involved. And we will talk a little bit about that in relation to condoms and things like that as well. And all the emotions, I suppose, can be related as well. And because everyone else is doing it is another great one. Same with having sex. People might feel like they have to because their partner wants to, or because everyone else is doing it, or their friends are doing it. Yeah, just gonna have a quick water break. Essentially, hopefully, you can see that there are kind of similar reasons why people eat to why they have sex. I like to think that that's because it all kind of comes from the same place, like it's kind of a biological thing inside of us, and it's something that we all have sexuality, even if people, you know, are not sexually active yet or not interested in being sexually active. Sexuality is still something that they may be able to relate to or connect to. And hopefully we do get to a point where we can talk about it in a normal way, similar to how we talk about other aspects of health, like eating. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say on that.
Alrighty. So just before we move on, we'll talk about sexual health generally. So sexual health is a broad umbrella term, and it obviously means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So as you can see on the slide, we've got the definition. So sexual health is a state of physical, emotional, mental, and social well-being related to sexuality. It is not merely the absence of disease, dysfunction, or infirmity. So it is not just about STIs and BBBs and prevention of pregnancy, obviously. However, today we will be focusing on STI prevention through condoms, dams, and gloves, and also the use of lube too. So just an important point as well, sexual health requires the possibility of having pleasurable and safe sexual experiences, free of coercion, discrimination, and violence. So that's something that we really want to hone in on today. You know, sexual health isn't just about prevention, it's also just about making everything pleasurable for everyone, and everyone deserves, pleasurable and safe sexual experiences.
Yeah, and we also don't want the safe part to come at the cost of pleasure. So hopefully we're going to talk about, some things to make the safety aspect of sexual health a bit more exciting and pleasurable. Sorry,
That's all right. So we'll start with STIs and BBVs. So we use the term STI rather than STD, as STIs, they're not all diseases, and the term disease carries quite a lot of stigma and shame. As we know, they're transmitted, through their infections. They're not actually diseases. So STIs can be caused by viruses. So for example, HSV, otherwise known as herpes, are two different types of HSV. Bacteria, so chlamydia and syphilis, and parasites, so crabs or trichomoniasis as well. And so in the next few slides, we'll do another Menti, and that'll touch on the different modes of transmission and also the different symptoms that people can experience as well, and what is the most common symptom that people can experience in terms of sexually transmitted infections. So if everyone just wants to scan the QR code again and pop some different modes of transmission for both STIs and BBVs. Oh,
We need to start.
we need to start it. Yeah, so for sexually transmitted infections and bloodborne viruses, yeah, different modes of transmission for both. Yeah, so kind of what type of activities can lead to the transmission of STIs and BBVs.
We're also looking for kind of specific answers, because that will inform how we can prevent STIs and BBVs in more specific kind of ways.
Yeah.
Vaginal sex, anal sex.
Amazing.
Great.
Please, perfect. Yep.
I feel like they're the main ones.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I'll just go through them. We'll start with STIs first. So as I can see on there, we've got vaginal sex, oral sex, anal sex, and also toys. So yeah, STIs can be transmitted through all of those different modes of transmission. And then BBVs, we've got sharing injecting equipment, injecting. So yeah, BBVs can be transmitted through certain bodily fluids containing blood, so semen and vaginal fluids, and also through other activities, you know, sharing injecting equipment, fighting or biting, unsterile piercing tattoo equipment, and also at times mother to child, so pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding as well. So yeah, just we obviously did what types of activities, because BBVs can also be transmitted through non-sexual activities as well. So yeah, just to highlight that HIV and viral hepatitis can be transmitted through injecting or sharing injecting items as well.
Yeah, we'll be focusing more on the sexual transmission today in terms of prevention.
So obviously, as everyone's put up, they're not passed on through hugging, sharing food and drink, sharing a bathroom with someone. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Let's move on, because time is moving quickly.
It is. Now I've got another Menti. This one is for what is the most common symptom of an STI? So we'll just give you a minute to pop your answers in, and then we'll jump through it. Oh. What's going on here?
Love that it's working. So one of our first times doing this type of Menti, so I'm pleased to see that it's being accessed. Okay, someone's guessing discharge.
2 people discharge. Cool.
I have a feeling I know why other people aren't guessing anything.
Yeah, so obviously discharge, rash or redness, itch, pain or pus, and sores are all common symptoms of STIs. However, the most common symptom of an STI is actually no symptom at all. A lot of STIs and BBVs can actually be asymptomatic. So someone may not know that they have an STI or a BBV, and they actually may continue to have unprotected sex, therefore transmitting the infection itself. So yeah, that's why we recommend that people get tested every 3 to 6 months if they're not in a monogamous relationship, and then if they are in a monogamous relationship, every 12 months as well, just due to different, why can I never remember what it's called? The time period.
Window period?
Window period, like different window periods for different STIs and BBVs. So yeah.
Do the next one. The next one's a true or false, so we can get through them a bit quicker.
Yes. True or false? Most STIs can be cured or managed. True, 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 true. Perfect. Yay! Ah, it went away. Anyway, so yes, as you've all responded, yes, treatment is available and they can either be cured or managed. It's important to start treatment as soon as possible. And some STIs, BBVs, may actually require more than one doctor visit, but a lot of them are curable and they often only take one round of antibiotics, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, you also may need to wait some time between treatment and having sex again, just to make sure that, yeah, if they are curable, they are completely gone, and your medical provider will give more details on this too. Next one. Okay, everyone can see that. True or false, you can get an STI from a toilet seat.
I feel like this one stumps people.
Yeah. Oh, why is it doing that? But it looks like everyone has said false, which is correct. STIs do not live outside of the body for long, so they cannot be transferred from surfaces. They actually need a human host to live in. I think this is the last one.
Yeah.
True or false? Condoms can prevent all STIs. I feel like this one stumps.
Yeah.
The last one.
Everyone knows the answers though.
Yeah. So it's actually true. STIs can be transmitted through skin to skin contact. Oh no, it's false.
Oh, it's false. Yeah.
Why have we written true? Whoopsie. So yeah, it is false. I knew what I was saying. STIs can be transmitted through skin to skin contact. So obviously condoms are relevant and useful for everyone. Condoms obviously don't cover certain parts of the body that are used during sex. So obviously, like, they can't cover your whole body at once. So that's why, yeah, we are talking more about other barrier methods today, not just condoms, just for different options for different people. And yeah, making sure that, yeah, we can prevent all STIs as much as possible.
All right, let's get into it. So here are some images of the things that we're going to be talking about today. When we're talking about prevention, we might also use the term barrier methods, which is referring to like the condoms, dams, gloves, and internal condoms, or I can't remember the other term. Oh, consumables is sometimes what we talk about as well, like safer sex consumables, which kind of includes lube. But yeah, we'll kind of do a deep dive into each of them so we know, I guess, the ins and outs of all of them, the benefits, the pros, the cons. Yeah. So the first one that we will start with is the tried and true condom. So we have two types. We have examples. So there's external condoms, which are your kind of classic regular condoms that Caitlin is holding up, but there's also internal condoms. So I will start with external, just on the left there. So the pros of these are that they can be used for a few different kind of types of sex. Obviously penetrative sex, so that can be vaginal or anal sex. They can be used for oral, like if it was oral sex on a penis. However, we probably know that that's not super common, but it's important that people know that oral sex can transmit STIs, and therefore you can still use a condom for oral sex as well. And sex toys as well. So sex toys that are kind of like a phallic shape, you could consider putting a condom on as well. Condoms are the only ones that prevent STIs and unintended pregnancy. So it's the only like birth control, I suppose, that prevents against STIs. And it's also the only STI like related barrier method that prevents against unintended pregnancy. Condoms come in a wide range of sizes, flavors, textures. You can get ribbed ones. There's a lot of variety when it comes to like external condoms. They're often quite accessible in terms of being available at a wide range of places, supermarkets, chemists, us. They're often, I guess, the most affordable compared to like the other ones that we'll speak about. And sometimes they are free, for example, from WAAC, which is great. And there's also non-latex options available. So if people have a latex allergy, a condom, you can get latex-free condoms, which is great. However, we may already know that some people don't like the feel of condoms, or they complain about condoms, or they say that condoms reduce, the pleasure during sex or the sensation, and that is generally true maybe if they have the wrong size or something like that, like it's not quite right, like it doesn't fit quite right, then it may be less pleasurable. But yeah, another con is that if an erection is fluctuating, you would probably need to use a new condom, because either, the pre-ejaculate or ejaculate could kind of slip down, or it might fall off, things like that. So that is kind of the downside of condoms, the external ones. Internal condoms are kind of basically like a bigger version of a condom, and it is inserted into the vagina or the anus rather than going on the penis before the penis gets inserted. So they're just like a bit thicker. Sorry, not the material's not thicker, but I just mean the size is thicker. They're actually latex free, which is great. So that could be a good option for people if they do have a latex allergy. Again, they prevent STIs and unintended pregnancy. They offer a bit more autonomy for people who are, kind of the receptive partners during penetration, which is great. It's not like relying on the other person to put the condom on. They can put it on themselves. Ring removed, great question. So we say that it can be used vaginally. This is the ring inside. The ring kind of acts like, it's almost like a suction, I suppose, to like the cervix. So that's how it kind of stays in place. It's similar to like a menstrual cup. So when we say ring removed, we're talking about anal sex specifically, because it's a bit different with anal sex, because there's no top end to the anus, so it doesn't need to like suction to the top. If we were using it for anal sex, you just put it on like a regular condom. So you remove the ring and you put it on basically like a big, looser kind of condom. However, the ring stays in if it's the vaginal sex. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, but we do have a video coming up of like how it's inserted. It's a bit more suitable for erectile difficulties because it's not as like tightly fitted on the penis. There's kind of room for the erection to like fluctuate without, I guess, lowering the like effectiveness of the condom. They can be a little bit harder to understand and insert. Like it took me watching the video to kind of understand how it works. And they're also less accessible than regular condoms, but you can buy them from SHQ or condom sales. We don't have any for sale at the moment, unfortunately, but yeah, you can get them online. We're going to try and play this video by the Yet Project of how to use an internal condom. Oopsies. Cool. We have linked to that video and along with a very similar one for anal sex in the chat at the very top. We've got a whole bunch of links that are kind of relevant to what we're talking about today. I just saw the question around how much they are per piece. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they can come in like a 3-pack or a 6-pack or a 12-pack. And I want to say the 3-pack would be like $10 or under. I'm just guessing, but I will double check and I can email you the answer. Yeah, so I think it's more like, if you were spending $10 on regular condoms, you would get maybe like 12 or 18 in the packet. But I think, yeah, it's a bit more expensive for the internal ones. But I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to double check. In terms of pleasure, so ways to make condoms more pleasurable. This is kind of a conversation that we have often because especially when we go to leavers and all the young people, we try and hand out condoms and all the young people say, no, I don't use condoms. We try and kind of educate on ways that they can maybe feel a bit better or encourage people to use them. A number one tip, I suppose, would be incorporating lube. So it would need to be water-based or silicone-based lube to be compatible with a condom. So oil-based products will break down the condom, unfortunately. But we will get more into lube in a second. So applying lube before or after putting the condom on. So applying the lube before will hopefully make it feel a bit better for the person with the penis or the person who's kind of putting the condom on. Applying lube after putting the condom on will probably make it feel a bit better for the person who is kind of receiving the penetrative sex. So that way, maybe before and after can lead to increased pleasure for both partners. Finding the right fit is a big one when it comes to helping condoms feel a bit more comfortable. So not everyone is going to fit into a regular condom size. There's actually at least 6 sizes that are available for condoms, which is why we have our little Find Your Right Fit pack at WAAC. This is just a tester one. And it comes with all 6 sizes of condoms. So essentially, if someone has a condom that's too loose, the risk might be that it falls off or yeah, maybe it gets like stuck inside someone during sex, which is not what we want. Or if it's too tight, it would probably be uncomfortable for the person wearing it. And that's when people might say, oh, I'm too big for condoms, which is not really ever true because there are bigger sizes available. One thing that's also important to know about the sizes of condoms is that it's based on the girth of the penis, not the length of the penis. So you might need to up a size if it's feeling like too tight and kind of constricted around the base of the penis. Thank you for demonstrating. The condom sizes come in different colors and they're also kind of titled like extra tight or, yeah, tighter fit or like super max. So it's not like big, small, because we don't want to be contributing to any kind of shame around size of someone's penis. So that's our Find Your Right Fit packs, and just a note on size. We also suggest if you can try and put the condom on in a fun way, like incorporate it into foreplay, in like a hand job, or maybe put it on with your mouth. We both did sexology, and we had the pleasure of one of our lecturers show us how to put a condom on with your mouth, which was, yeah, that was a crazy day. So it can be done in a more fun way. And even like some of these things you can kind of incorporate into like role play or kink or things like that. Another tip that we have for pleasure is just like masturbating with the condom on to kind of get used to the feel of the condom, and also not kind of almost like kind of training yourself to like experience pleasure with a condom, so that it's not like a disappointment or anything if you get to sex with a partner and have to use a condom kind of thing, because we want to really just normalize it. Things to remember to make sure that you're as safe as possible with using condoms. Check that the packet is sealed and undamaged. Check the expiry date. Use a new condom when switching between body parts or partners. So if you're having vaginal sex and then you're having anal sex, you need to get a new condom, particularly if it's the other way around, actually, especially, because we don't want any kind of bacteria from the anus to enter into the vagina. And STIs as well can be local. So you might have gonorrhea or chlamydia only show up in the throat or only show up on an anal swab. So yeah, it's important to still use protection for different areas of the body. If you put a condom on the wrong way, you need to get a new condom. You can't just like flip it over. Otherwise, you may have potentially already exposed yourself to the STI through like vaginal fluids or something like that. Another tip is to pinch the tip before the condom, before rolling it down onto the penis. That just means that there's going to be room at the top for the ejaculate to go. Remove the condom before the penis goes soft. We were kind of speaking about that before. There's just more of a risk because if the size of the penis is significantly different when it's soft versus when it's hard, then the condom won't be like fitting correctly. And make sure you put the used condom in the bin, not down the toilet, because that is bad for the environment. And we heard a story secondhand somewhere, which I don't know if it's even true, but apparently a young person flushed a condom down the toilet in their family home, and then it popped up in their parents' bathroom. It's kind of sewage problem. So yeah, that's something that we also use to encourage young people to dispose of the condom correctly. Moving on to dams.
Alrighty, so there's lots of pros for using dams. Dams are usually used during oral sex on a vulva or an anus, and they're quite suitable for people who experience any kind of discomfort during oral sex. They might be feeling a little bit self-conscious, particularly of that area, or they might have different sensory needs. So dams can really support making oral sex more comfortable for people. They can actually be made from a condom. So this is what they look like. Steph's demonstrating right now. Yeah, very stretchy, very easy to move around the area. Yeah, they come in lots of different flavors, which is pretty awesome. So that can make it a lot more pleasurable for people, especially the person giving oral sex. But yeah, in the next slide, we will show how a dam can actually be made out of a condom, which is pretty cool. So yeah, dams are actually very accessible in that form, but they are like less accessible than condoms, obviously. You can purchase them from SHQ and condom sales. But yeah, obviously we don't have them, in our supermarkets or anything like that, unfortunately. But yes, they can be made out of condoms. They're just a little bit smaller, that's all, than a proper dam. The other con is that they need to be held in place. So obviously, yeah, you can't just let go of them. Either the receiver or the giver has to hold them in place so that it's completely protecting the area that's receiving oral sex. And so some tips are, please avoid flipping it. It would be the same as turning a condom inside out. So you're actually, if you flip it, you're exposing yourself potentially to an STI or any other bacteria that might be on the area as well. So yeah, also get a new dam for every body part. So don't use the same dam that possibly was used on a vulva, also on an anus, and get a new dam for each partner as well, because once again, there's a risk of, contracting an STI, if you're using the same dam with different partners. So, and also apply lube, just like condoms as well. Water or silicone base can actually make dams are a lot more comfortable and a lot more easier to use as well.
But they're similar to condoms, like very thin, and shouldn't impact too much of the sensation.
Right, so next for the how to make a dam. Cool.
I think that's an American resource. Speaking North and,
yeah, so as you can see, they are obviously a little bit smaller than an actual dental dam, but as they're made out of latex, they're very stretchy. So yeah, that's makes them a little bit more accessible. If you can make them out of a condom as well, if you don't have access to one. But yeah, we love them. We love dams.
we wish that, yeah, there was just more around.
Yeah.
People knew about
more
them.
accessible.
All right, gloves. You may or may not have heard of using a glove for safer sex. This is what we would recommend for prevention of STIs during like fingering, hand jobs, fisting. So these types of activities are kind of a bit less of a risk when it comes to STIs, but they can be a risk if, for example, there's like cuts internally that could lead to blood, you have long nails, because the blood to blood contact could lead to like BBVs and STIs, or maybe like the passing on of sexual fluids and things like that are a risk there. So we do recommend a glove for people if they also have like open sores on their hands or something like that that might increase the risk of STI transmission. They're just regular gloves. There's no really special ones for STI prevention. So you can just get them from the supermarket or the pharmacy or wherever. You just want to make sure that you're getting the powder-free ones. Yeah, we don't want any extra powders or kind of incompatible materials going inside anyone. Yeah, as I said before, they're suitable if someone has open wounds, cuts on their hands, or long nails. They come in different sizes, just like condoms, and there are non-latex options available. Same thing applies. So use a new glove when switching between body parts or partners. The safest way to remove them is to kind of
demonstrated that.
Take them off inside out, like peel them from the bottom up so that the exposed area goes on the inside, if that makes sense. Put it straight in the bin. This is kind of one that can be more easily incorporated into like role plays or kink, just in terms of like trying to make things a bit more pleasurable. Like you could do like sexy nurse kind of vibes and try and be safe while also like having a bit of fun.
Alrighty, which brings us to the benefits and different types of lube as well. So we've got 4 different types of lube that we're going to talk about today. So we'll start with water-based, which is our favourite. So the pros are they can be used with condoms, dams, and sex toys safely. So they actually won't damage the condoms, dams, or sex toys, which is great. They actually may be better for sensitive skin. So they're actually less likely to cause irritation or allergic reactions for people that have sensitive skin or prefer to use more gentle products with their skin, which is great. They're also really easy to clean out of sheets and clothes because they're water-based. They're not like oil or silicone-based. They don't stick and like hold in your sheets and your clothes. So yeah, they come out really easy in the wash. The cons are that they may not last as long and they usually will need to be reapplied as well, depending on how long you need to use them for. And they also will wash away quickly in water. So just, yeah, something to remember, I guess, in the different environments that you might be having sex in, the shower, for example, they will actually wash away quite quickly in water. So which brings us to silicone-based lubricant. The pros is that they are thicker and recommended for anal sex, obviously because the anus is not self-lubricating like the vagina is. So silicone-based is a much better option for anal sex than water-based. You don't need to reapply as frequently because they actually last longer than water-based lube, which is pretty cool. However, the cons are that they can't actually be used with silicone sex toys, which I only found out recently. The silicone-based lube will actually break down and damage the silicone sex toys, which is a little bit scary. They're also harder to clean out of sheets and clothes, as I said before, and there's fewer options to choose from than water-based lube as well. So yeah, that's why we kind of just recommend water-based lube a little bit more. The next one that we've got is actually powdered lube. So powdered lube can be used with condom stands and sex toys, just like water-based lube, which is pretty awesome. And you can mix it in with water for your desired consistency, and that kind of creates this liquid consistency. Powdered lube is great for people with different sensory needs, and because sometimes water and silicone-based lube can actually feel quite strange for people and like also be quite uncomfortable too. So that's why powdered lube is a really great option for people who have other sensory needs too. And it actually lasts longer as well, which is pretty awesome. So the cons are that obviously you have to mix it with water to create the desired consistency that you want, and for it to be used properly. So it takes a lot more preparation and a lot more mixing time. Obviously with water and silicone-based lube, you can just use straight away. It's harder to access. You can get it from some sex stores, but
obviously you need to be over 18 to access that store, which is like these ones you can literally just get from the supermarket, which means that young people can access them as well, which is important.
Yeah, I think another thing that limits its accessibility is that it's quite expensive too, whereas water and silicone-based lube are very accessible and a lot cheaper to purchase as well. The last one is oil-based products. Products such as Vaseline, baby oil, coconut oil, and any oil-based lubes are not recommended for safer sex. This is because you can't actually use them with condoms, dams, or sex toys because they'll break down the material, and this can actually happen quite quickly as well, particularly with condoms. So that's why we don't recommend oil-based lube at all. And they're also very hard to clean out of sheets, as anyone would know. Even just getting cooking oil on your clothes or anything like that, it's so hard to remove, and creates lots of stains. So yeah, which is why we don't really vibe with oil-based products at all. And that's why we've got a big X. We do not recommend oil-based products. Anything water-based is our absolute favorite, and then powdered and also silicone-based as well.
Cool. That's kind of the deep dive into all of the kind of barrier methods and lube that we'll be talking about today. Does anyone have any questions about condoms, internal condoms, maybe some of the more rare kind of ones that are not as known about? Feel free to pop any questions in the chat. I'll just kind of wrap up with this slide here around the general benefits of barrier methods and like safer sex consumables and the things that we've spoken about today. Obviously, they reduce the risk of STIs, and in some cases with condoms, unintended pregnancy, which means that by using one, people are less worried about these sorts of things. And so they might have less anxiety related to that, which can ultimately increase someone's kind of capacity for pleasure. Lube in particular is a key kind of thing when we're talking about safe but pleasurable sex, because lube reduces friction, which can increase like pleasure and kind of sensation during sex. Using barrier methods increases someone's agency, autonomy, and ownership over their own body, which can feel really empowering. Having discussions around these barrier methods also, and like talking about this beforehand, is really important. It encourages open communication and healthy boundaries, which can build trust and intimacy between partners or casual partners, which can really improve someone's sex life. And everything we've talked about today kind of ties in with the broader definition of sexual health that we spoke about at the start, because it's not just around like the physical safety, but it's also around the trust and kind of respect in using these sorts of barrier methods. So relating to physical, emotional, social well-being, and also just general psychological safety. I forgot to actually mention it before when we're talking about condoms, but you might have heard of the term stealthing, and that's when someone removes the condom during sex without the other partner knowing, and that is a form of sexual assault. It is illegal in other states in Australia, but not quite in Western Australia. It it can be related to sexual assault, and it is really a violation of someone's consent because they didn't have that information. And they weren't given the choice to make that decision around what barrier method they want to use. Well, they did make the decision, but then that was kind of revoked from them. So yeah, all these kind of things tie into that idea of like trust, consent, respect, and like psychological safety. And the less that we're worried, the more that we feel safe, respected, things like that, the more capacity we have to relax during sex and experience genuine pleasure. I'm sure everyone knows that the less you have on your mind, the better sex can be. And so hopefully having a wide variety of knowledge around what's available, and also, being informed about your choices and knowing that you're comfortable with your choices can increase pleasure in general during sex.
Alrighty. So if anyone's got any questions related to anything that we've spoken about today, or anything more about WAAC, please pop them in the chat, or feel free to pop your hand up and ask us right now if you would like to.
Otherwise, I'll just go through some resources. So we spoke about how condoms are free at WAAC. You can scan the QR code or look at the link in the chat to order some for your organisation, or look at our little map, find out where you can pick up a handful just for yourself. They're really fun if you haven't seen them before. They're on that image in the slide, all fun kind of sexual health pun designs. You can buy the Find Your Right Fit packs, and also a pack called Pleasure Pack, which includes a dam, a glove, and a condom and some lube as well. They're $5 on the WAAC store website. There are some other great resources. We showed you a video of the Get Project. They have a variety of online videos, which are really good for young people. They also have these how to put a condom on cards, which are really good, like step-by-step a guide, I guess, to putting a condom on in the correct way. They have other ones for all the different barrier methods as well. The image that you're looking at on the bottom right of the slide is a picture from a brochure on STIs by SECA. We've also linked that in the chat. And here are some further supports that we've spoken about and ways to find more information. If you ever have a question around protection of STIs and things like that, you can call M-Clinic's HIV and STI info line. If you have questions more around like unintended pregnancy and things like that, SHQ would be a great place to go. And same with, we spoke about like the consent aspect. If you or someone that you know has been impacted by sexual assault, there's the Sexual Assault Resource Centre as well. Cool. That brings us to the end of the webinar with 1 minute to go, which is great. Please scan the QR code and fill out our online evaluation form. I will re-put it in the chat as well for those who want to fill it out on desktop. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you learned something, or you feel more confident to talk to other people around this kind of stuff, around safety. You can reach out to us at any time, order safe sex packs anytime. Yeah, that's pretty much it.